Players in a minute. Hussam, talk to me.
Old Trafford is falling down. Da, 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 da. Neji, what happened? Liverpool can suck your left nut. Remember 2 weeks ago? Listen, this is just normal. This is just normal at Old Trafford. Over the last 5-6 years, we come there, we get the 3 points. Most of the time, I would say 90% of the time. Listen, today we destroyed Man United. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. Xerxes' header was the only real dangerous chance. Other than that, Man United just huffed and puffed, didn't really do anything in that game. We dominated the game for most of the game, 100%. Gravenberg had a masterclass performance today as the DM, dictated everything, and he's just so smart. It's not about him tackling like the prototypical DM. He's just getting into the right positions to steal the ball from a player, from a center back or a DM who plays the pass. And he was always there when we needed him. Like every single time we needed the Gravenberg to make a tackle, he was there. So I have to shout him out first. Luis Diaz today, 2 incredible finishes, unbelievable finishes, specifically the second one. The second one is what we need more of from Luis Diaz. So, let's not do this childish shit where everyone's like, oh, apologize. There will be no apologies until we get consistency, because consistency is what leads to apologies. But today, specifically, he was incredible. The second goal for me is genuinely what we want more of from Luis Diaz, because that goal was an incredible finish. And speaking of incredible and consistency, the Egyptian king. What a guy. What 3 GA in the same game away at Old Trafford. This guy is not normal, I'll be honest with you. 32 years old, just pulling the strings for the front line, the passing and the crossing, and even his goal just took it. Listen, I know there are United fans here, but I have no idea what Onana's positioning was for that goal right there. Just sat at the middle of the goal. It kind of reminds me of... what was the name? Dean Henderson. Remember the goal that Mo scored as well, where he was like, he left half the goal empty. This time Onana just stood in the middle of it like there, and Mo just went near post. So it was an incredible finish. And listen, at the end there, when it was 3-0, we did have our chances. Terry just said it regarding the Szoboszlai one. I have no idea why Szoboszlai didn't just shoot it first time there. Like, listen, Connor Bradley, I wanted him to get the assist so bad because he's a young player and he's with us on the stream right now, right next to me. But incredible pass from Connor Bradley there, and just wanted Szoboszlai to finish it. But he just didn't, have the aggression to do it. And look, so far so good. This doesn't change anything that we've said all summer long. This doesn't change anything that anyone on this whole bottom row has said about Liverpool Football Club. Our starting 11 is very good. Our starting XI is one of the best in the league. We delivered today. We performed really well. And listen, the differences between Slot's style and Klopp's style is the following. Last season we dominated, and the reason why we didn't win is finishing, to be honest with you. It's more of finishing than anything else. Like, we could have finished you guys yourselves said it last year at Old Trafford. It could have been 5-0 at halftime, but we just didn't finish our chances. This year, more clinical in front of goal. And when it was 3-0 up, it's more about keeping the ball. It's not about counter-pressing and trying to score the 4th and 5th and all of that. So that's the thing that I like. Even Robertson had a good game today. Konate, absolute tank. That's why, when you listen to Liverpool fans, never listen to Tom Little, always listen to Sam. Konate was a tank monster today. Every time he needed a tackle, he was there. And in terms of Man United, I don't want to speak too long because obviously there are United reps here. The one thing that shocked me was the substitution. I thought Garnacho would have stayed on. Rashford came off because Rashford was horrible today, to be honest with you. But he did take off Garnacho, who was at least a spark. Diallo came on too late, didn't affect us. Casemiro, I understand why he made that substitution, because Casemiro stank in the first half as well. So that was a substitution I kind of understood, to be honest with you. But listen, this just shows there's different levels of quality here. That's why the likes of myself and everyone on the bottom row, we're not worried about top 4 races or falling off expeditiously after Jurgen Klopp or any of that type of stuff. We're more worried about title race and blah, blah, blah. And have we done enough in the window? Probably not. But today, it's not about that. Today, it's about beating the eternal enemy. We've done it again. Clean sheet. Beautiful.
Do you know what's really interesting about goals are such an important part of football, obviously, right? That's a very sort of normal thing to say. So when you say dominate, though, this is what's crazy. I'm just putting out the facts of this matter. It was 8 shots to 11 to you this time around, and we had more of the ball. You deserve to win, not taking anything away from you. Last year, we had 9 shots, you had 28. So this is the thing. When I say when you talk about performance levels, yes, you were the team that deserved to win. But what's crazy is last year should have been something like a 6 or 7. It wasn't like you were. And this is why I'm more annoyed at the mistakes and then lack of confidence. You were not tearing through us like you were last year. That is just a cast iron fact. Up until
but that's different in styles.
Sorry, go on, Mike.
I was just going to say where I have to push back here is you had 3 shots on target, and I can name all 3 of them: Xerxes' header, Mazraoui's, which was your first attempt, which came at the 40th minute, his effort from outside the box, and then you had Xerxes' effort from outside the box that Allison easily saved. Only one of those shots that was on target was, at all dangerous, which was Xerxes' header. Outside of that, I mean, I can point at 4 different times. Ahmad shot the ball 40 yards above the net. Bruno did it twice. So that's 3 more shots right there. So in reality, I think that looking at the stat there in its isolation is very deceiving, because it took you 40 minutes to even get it.
But it doesn't, because as I've said, our final ball when we had opportunities was poor. So I've criticized that element. What I'm saying is up until that mistake, when you talk about last year, Sam talks about last year and this year being the same. No, it wasn't. Last year, you were cutting through us from the opening minute like a hot knife through butter, and you were absolutely peppering our goal, which is why you had 28 attempts on goal versus this. So that is what I am specifically talking about. Absolutely, what you've just said about us not creating enough. I don't think any Man United fan on here would argue is different. I'm just calling out that this game wasn't like last season's match. I think they're chalk and cheese games, in my personal opinion, even down to you guys being clinical through being less clinical last time round. Ram, break down Liverpool for me today, mate.
Comfortable, irresistible, and also this Arne Slot, man. I was skeptical when he first came in, but ever since he's come through pre-season and his first 3 games, breath of fresh air. And you know what I love about the whole thing? It seems as though the players are bought into his system as well, because everyone's playing at a level, to an extent, a level higher than what last year was. And that says a lot. And Salah, Salah is just, he will go down as one of the greatest players in the Premier League of all time. Like, I've seen the comments today about possibly might be his last season, which is unfortunate, but I think a lot of respect needs to be given to him. It will be difficult for me to say he's the greatest ever player. Nostalgia plays a big part in that, and it will be hard for me to say that over Stevie, but there is definitely a case for that. And I'll happily concede that if I can see that sort of debate. But overall, I can't think of any player within this team that didn't put a bad performance in. Even McAllister, to an extent, he won the best McAllister that I've seen, but overall, every single player on that pitch was absolutely fantastic. And what can I say? We said this about Luis Diaz. I saw people in the comments saying, Luis Diaz, we need to hear some apologies. All I will say, we have seen this before. I'm still going to hold judgment on Luis Diaz until he does this consistently. Last season, he started off like a bull in a china shop, scoring goals, creating assists, linking up play, doing everything, but then fizzled out in the end of the season. So I'm going to hold judgment on Luis Diaz until the end of the season or later down the season. But so far, so good. 7 goals scored, 0 goals conceded. What more can you ask of this team, and what more can you ask of this manager? Perfect start, going to the international break, joint top of the Premier League. So I'm going to be smiling throughout the next 2 weeks, which is going to be great.
I'm sure you are. G, when it comes to the way you're playing, there was a train of thought last season that Jurgen Klopp needed to change a few things, that maybe the higher line had to be different, maybe make some adjustments, but he plays his way. Do you almost feel like Slot coming in, making some adaptations, is sort of getting the very best out of these players in this squad again?
Yeah, but in none of the games have I felt that Liverpool have even played at top level. Though today was no different. Like, we haven't really hit that gear that I think that Liverpool will inevitably hit if they continue like this. I'll be honest. It wasn't today. We didn't need to. Second gear was enough to get through United. It was just one of them. It was honestly just comfortable. It was like, there's nothing more you can even say. Like, you had the 10, 15 at the beginning of the game that you mentioned earlier, 100%. I felt the game was a bit even, but even just in a sense of you looked excited in the game kind of thing. You know, you're at home, it's Old Trafford, it's a derby kind of thing. Liverpool kind of sussed that out. After that, it was like you said, the mistake. Once the mistake set in, I think the worrying thing for you guys is that once the mistake set in, it set a precedent for the rest of the game. Like it just seemed like now there is no leadership on the pitch. The Casemiro, you know, we're talking about one of the best defensive midfielders we've ever seen. And the performance he put in today, we've seen it. And that was my only thing with the Man United game. I was like, this is just becoming a bit sad now because it's like, as much as yes, we're beating you,
Sad
yeah,
for
whatever.
who?
No. Listen, I don't care. But I mean, for Manchester United, I'm saying like I'm watching it and I'm like, rah, like I expect even just put a bit of heart into it. Collier came on, he was putting more heart than anyone else at the time when he was coming on the pitch, and I didn't even know who he was, but he was putting in the heart, he's putting in that effort. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Like it was little things that I'm just seeing from your team, which doesn't set a good precedent for anything else that goes on in your football club. But for Liverpool's perspective, yeah, 3 games, three victories. But I still don't think Liverpool are really even there yet. I think them along with Manchester City, and Arsenal, I think there is another gear that they will go up inevitably as the season continues, and you just haven't hit yet.
I hear you on that. There's a quote here from Mo Salah that came out a couple of minutes ago. He said, "Easy game." He says, "I was surprised. It was quite open. It could have finished 5 or 6, to be honest." And look, you need to hear the comment for the context because some people will get annoyed at him for saying that. Like, you know, before when he said something that was taken out of context that he was having a go at United players and he wasn't. But yeah, these are the things that Ineos need to look at. If people are saying these things and that's how opponents feel, then who are we to argue with it per se?
And speaking
You know
of Terry, the rest of the stuff he said is that the club haven't offered him a contract yet.
Right.
Let me make something clear. If Mo Salah is not offered a contract, then this club is just the absolute definition of stupidity that we've ever seen. I'm not going to use the same example that I've always used. I'll give you a different example today because there's plenty of them. Lewandowski's highest goal-scoring season came at 34 years old. Benzema won a Ballon d'Or aged 33 or 34. The way that sports science is developing, football, specifically someone like Mo who takes the sport seriously, takes care of himself, of his body, obviously, like, you know, very healthy, very fit. I mean, he beat all the people 10 years younger than him in like the lactic acid test in even with the whole Liverpool squad. That's a player that you must give a contract to. And I think even when he's 35 and he's got no more pace and power left, you could even play him up top. You could even play him up top to feed the left winger and the right winger and get him involved in terms of assists because he's developed as a playmaker. I think we need to give him a contract, to give Virgil a contract, to give Trent a contract. We need to sort that situation out because this shit could get messy. Because you need to understand, today it was no longer a subliminal message. Virgil sent a subliminal message. Alisson sent a subliminal message. Mo just came out publicly and raised the middle finger to Richard Hughes. He just basically said, I've not been offered a new contract, which is actually even bigger worry and even bigger problem than being offered one and rejected one because they haven't even approached him for a contract.
Yeah.
And the fact that today he got 3 GA in the same game, was interviewed by Sky and said it to them, for me is massive because he's actually directly calling out the club, which I respect and I love that.
I hear you, mate. I hear you on that. This here from Matt says, in my opinion, Salah shouldn't be in a conversation with Hazard. He should be with Henry and Ronaldo because he's consistent with what he does. Hazard just doesn't compare. Do you agree with that, Mike? Would you put, when it comes to that conversation around Salah, do you put him above Eden Hazard?
Listen, I'm not going to lie. That super chat got me in the first half. I failed to read the second half of it when he said that he doesn't even compare, because I don't think it does. Because if you're going to look at both of them, you're essentially fixating on a period of Hazard's career, and you're ignoring the length of Mohamed Salah's career. Because if you were going to look for prime to prime, sure, I will entertain the conversation that at their absolute peak, who was the better player on the day. But if you're going to look at career, that's much different. I mean, Mohamed Salah has barely ever been injured in his life, and Eden Hazard is retired. And Mohamed Salah has 3 goals and 3 assists still playing for Liverpool. I don't understand how the career conversation could ever take place. But I'm not one for, you know, the player versus player debates. I'd rather watch just the games, to be honest with you.
The same age that Mo's
Oh, yeah.
getting 3 GA at Old Trafford, Hazard is playing through balls to chunks.
To be fair though, yeah, I think
Which is why, by the way, I always say Gerrard better than Scholes better than Gerrard, because by the time when Scholes was still winning Premier League titles and dominating midfield at the same age, I think your main guy had been
completely
retired and
different
managing
things.
for 3 years by then.
He said he would have
completely
stayed. He would have
different
stayed if he knew Klopp was coming through. Just letting you know that.
But
Yeah.
he was retired.
You know what,
he was
though,
retired.
boys, yeah.
He was retired by. I'm just using your logic here, boys. That's
Gary,
all.
I don't know why Gerard lived in your head
Hey.
rent free. We beat you 3-0 today. Don't worry about Gerard. We'll have that
Boys,
conversation
boys,
some other
if
time.
I may,
There's an
I
international
may.
break. Don't worry about Gerard and Salah. We love both. We beat you 3-0. That's more important today.
if I may, yeah, just a quick one.
That's history. We
Yeah.
don't talk history on this channel. It's already finished. It's gone now. No more talking about that.
History is an hour ago. That's short-term history right there.
Yeah, but I'm looking at it through the perspective of my dog. Time's 7 times faster for them. So it's literally a week ago now in my house. We live on doggy years in my house now. Fucking Liverpool.
The bad
Sorry,
part for you is you've got 2 weeks of international break as well. So enjoy that.
do you know
shit
what?
right
It's
there.
decent. I want to get some of these.